Fighting Leaf.
And Husky, I'm here too.
The leader-in-chief
Of this show and not much else.
put together by twists of fate so great it's all beyond belief. Don't you give me no grief. That Lupin canine he suits me just like you can see. Review kids movies with no beauty, not groovy, while brooding with moody me. That's how it's gotta be. Fighting Leaf and Husky, I'm Husky. Fighting Leaf and Husky, I'm Husky. Fighting Leaf and Husky, yeah, that's me. Sure, they like them now, but that ain't gonna last. To minimize the damage, we gotta work fast. This is what we gotta do to help the kids to get it. Now listen to my review, you're gonna regret it. It's Husky by my side and I keep on my chest. Make real bad kids movies with help from the rest. I am Fighting Leaf, the kid movie chief. Don't give me no grief, or you're gonna regret it. Hi, Internet! And welcome to You're Gonna Regret It, Modern Children's Movie Review, with your hosts, Fighting Leaf and Husky the Wolf. In 2014, Toonbox Entertainment and Gulfstream Pictures knocked heads together, walked around in a daze, and then produced the movie that we're gonna be looking at today.
Yeah, it had everything going for it, but the end result was a boring, by-the-book story with nothing to spice it up.
And because I know you people hate long introductions, let's stop beating around the bush,
Cut to the chase,
get to the bottom of,
get right to the point,
and at some point even start talking about the movie known only as The Nut Job.
Well, we'd like to start talking about it, but there's so many company splash art things that it's taken for freaking ever!
When you're an animal, life's a balancing act.
Here we meet our story's anti-hero, Surly Squirrel, voiced by Will Arnett. Why do I call him an anti-hero?
Cause he's a jerk butt jerk that we're all supposed to like for some reason. I never got these types of characters. Why are we supposed to like jerks?
I'm no hero. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut.
Right, he's supposed to be the tough and gritty anti-hero who does what he has to do and looks out for number one. Okay, movie, we'll play your game. It's not often you see a protagonist like this in a kid's movie.
Well, there's a reason for that.
I won't say that they don't work in this medium, but you'll see soon enough why this one doesn't.
That's his rat buddy. Buddy! He's a buddy, and his name's Buddy. They're so clever!
So the story revolves around him trying to get nuts. A dark and gritty squirrel on a quest for nuts. It sounds like it could be hilariously stupid fun.
He's not! Huh. This animation is kinda cheap looking.
Well, to be fair, we're used to much, much higher grade stuff. Not everything needs to be Pixar to be acceptable. Anyway, we meet our villain, this clearly nice guy who will in no way turn out to be a traitor.
This is, Raccoon. They really did just name him Raccoon. Voiced by Liam Neeson. You know, he voiced Bad Cop from the Lego Movie.
That's it. All fines are valuable. Oh, what is our food level now?
He's less funny here.
Oh look, an Angry Birds reference. Anyway, it turns out that the animals in the park don't have enough food for winter until they happen upon a nut cart. The raccoon sends this squirrel chick named Andy, voiced by Katherine Kegel, to go along with this Grayson idiot, voiced by Brendan Fraser, to get the nuts. And I already feel like I'm doing the wrap-up right now.
Man, they keep throwing all this information at us.
Keep a wary, watchful eye out for you-know-who.
No, not him!
Oh boy, so, in the span of less than a minute, we were just introduced to a food shortage, our competent leading lady, a dumb idiot hero type guy, the bad guy who is not revealed to be a bad guy but who totally is, a potential solution to their problem, and a you-know-who character who is totally not going to be our anti-hero at some point.
Thanks for the big smelly exposition dump movie. We are so freaking invested now.
And if that wasn't enough, we get even more information dumped on us in the form of this parallel plot. A pair of gangsters are scoping out a bank for what can only be an eventual bank heist.
Who cares? We have this hilarious bit with a Girl Scout who wants nuts.
I want some nuts.
Did you hear me? I want nuts.
You want nuts?
That was hilarious. Now I want nuts.
It turns out that both Surly and Andy's team are after the same nut cart. And look, the idiot heroic type is being an idiot. And the competent leading lady is being competent. This movie has only been playing for about 6 minutes and I'm already reaching for things to comment on.
Everything is so safe and boring and blah.
Look, I'll skip ahead to the completely predictable payoff to this setup. Surly is all, I'm out for number one here.
Andy's like, oh, you should help the poor.
Grayson is an arrogant moron,
Shenanigans happen and the food store gets destroyed.
resulting in an angst scene. The most interesting part of this scene is that Surly gets banished from the park as a result, but that is also really predictable. Again, reaching.
Oh, and you're gonna love this. They banish him with a show of hands, but it has to be unanimous. Why? I don't know. But when Surly thinks his rat buddy Buddy will help him out, the guy waves to him innocently, but everyone interprets it as a vote towards banishment anyway, and I guess that gets him banished somehow. Because that makes any kind of sense!
By the way, that mole, named Mole, is voiced by comedian Jeff Dunham.
What is our favorite comedian doing in this movie?
Also, screw you, Nostalgia Critic, we freaking love that guy. I mean, it should be kind of obvious. Even the actual banishment scene is dry and predictable. The jerk is a jerk to his friend and he has to deal with living in the big city. And more shenanigans.
Man, it's been almost half a scene since we've had some of those. Seriously, this was supposed to be an emotional moment. Is this just one of those movies that thinks that kids don't deserve tender moments?
More likely, it's attempting to do what the Lego movie did to try and better blend the two moods together. But this is so artless in its execution. And back to feeling emotional.
So Surly takes refuge in a trash can when he hears something, and yeah, it's Buddy. It's Buddy, and oh look, it's Buddy. Bye, Buddy!
Surly seems pleased at first to have his old friend back, but then he remembers he's dark and edgy and so abuses his friend some more. I know it's a tired joke, but...
Our hero, everybody!
Moments like these confuse me. It's like the movie flip-flops between how seriously we're supposed to take his dark grittiness. At some points it's clearly meant to be a joke, but at others we're clearly supposed to be laughing with him. At still other points it's played completely straight.
I guess this is to show he has depth as a character, but something about it seems really forced.
Even though we know that term is not very useful to you as a viewer because it gives you no concrete information.
What it comes down to is that the funny bits aren't funny and the edgy bits aren't engaging.
That's the primary problem with this movie. You'll see it before too long.
Surly gets chased by some city rats and is soon cornered on a rooftop. That's when Buddy shows up, being a better friend than he deserves, and helps save the day.
Surly, not being a completely lost cause, releases a bunch of carrier pigeons to further distract the rats so that they can make their escape. Perfect landing.
Right when Surly vows to play nice with the rodents in the park again, he realizes that the window they crashed into is a nut shop. Plot convenience! And our movie's real plot can begin. No, none of that!
It's hard enough dealing with the normal copyright issues that we have to face in our videos. I really don't want to have to deal with the music industry now. Well, to be honest, this is probably one of the more entertaining bits of the movie, showing off how difficult it is for Surly to get into the shop. On the other hand, the Gangnam-style instrumental doesn't help in any way, and the physical comedy, while competent, is unimpressive.
Eventually, though, a pair of highly suspicious-looking dudes pull up in a taxi and give Buddy an opening to slip in and get Surly into the building.
Also, this is Knuckles. That is all. This lead mobster guy, King, I think, is voiced by Stephen Lang.
He discusses his bank heist plans with these goons from earlier in the movie when Surly triggers a mousetrap. And here's another plot point.
Shut her up, fingers.
I got this.
That dog whistle is there to keep the pug, Precious, from getting out of line. Turns out, though, that Knuckles is also affected by it. And no, that is never explained.
As if I didn't have enough reasons to hate this movie, I hate this movie!
My question is, why isn't this affecting the rodents in this movie? Their hearing is similarly powerful. In fact, much of their vocalization is in those higher registers that humans can't hear.
Do you really expect the makers of this movie to do that kind of research?
Point granted.
We cut back to the park, and I know one of these groundhog things is voiced by another one of our favorite comedians, Gabriel Iglesias. But don't ask me which one, though. Point is, Andy and Grayson are sent off to the sea to find food.
And Grayson is being an idiot and trying to hit on Andy. Again, this is a thing he does. Great. You see what I mean? No one does anything interesting in this movie.
It's just the same jokes over and over until everyone dies. The end!
Okay, Grayson does do something slightly interesting by fighting off a rat who tries to steal their limited traveling food supply, and actually lives up to that hero status he likes to wear. It's not much, but it's something, technically, I guess. Fart joke.
Eh?
Buddy.
Can you really call that a joke? It's more like a fart happening.
I think I'm gonna have a cheese baby.
Okay, that was actually kind of funny. One funny bit. Ugh. This is gonna be a long one.
Well, we got a new addition to the cast in the form of this lady person named Lana, voiced by Sarah Gaden. She kinda looks like...
Oh, Adelaide!
Adelaide, ever-loving Adelaide is taking it. Who the heck were those two?
Whoever they were, they are not well! Anyway, the pug finds Surly and starts barking at... Ah!
Well, we were overdue for some shenanigans, I guess. And here they are. No reason, they just happened to start up again as an excuse to get Surly's hands on the dog whistle, only for it to wind up in Andy's hands. And Surly's attempt to get it back are...
It has nothing to do with food. Oh, I've got the no food blues.
sad. Really, really sad.
But they rush right back into the building because the door is open and that's it! A play-by-play of this movie is freaking dumb!
Husky's right, there's way too much movement in each scene. Point is, they make it back into the building and Surly says this.
Buddy! We found it! The lost city of Nutlantis!
What are we supposed to say to that?
Thanks, chum. Sorry about that, went a little nuts.
Ah! What are we supposed to say? What insight are we supposed to have? What do you people want from us? Leave Britney alone!
Writing a script for this review was hard.
So, more things happen, and after forcing Surly to make a deal to help the park, Andy lets him have the dog whistle back, which he calls a...
Thing on my booby.
Thing on his boobie?
Thing on my booby.
Thing on his boobie.
Thing on my booby.
Thing on a boobie!
Turns out the dog, named Precious, can talk and is voiced by Maya Rudolph. Not only is she instantly cowed by that dog whistle, but she's trying desperately hard to be Dory from Finding Nemo.
Oh! I can play dead. Watch. I'm alive.
Yeah, that doesn't work here because, well, Surly isn't interesting enough to merit having a comedic foil. And even if he was, that spot is taken by Buddy, an equally uninteresting character. I know we sound like a broken record, but no one is interesting! They're all just archetypes and nothing else. Rango spent the majority of his movie pretending to be a certain archetype, but the nature of his pretense revealed that there was a lot more going on under the surface. Emmett from the Lego Movie started off as a two-dimensional cardboard cutout character, but that was dashed to the ground when he realized just how little of an impact he left on others. And Judy Hopps from Zootopia had a careful balancing act between the starry-eyed optimist and the hard-boiled cop, fitting easily into the two different archetypes at once. No one in this movie does anything like that! Do you see why this movie is so unengaging? I mean, take a look at this next scene. Andy returns to the park to give everyone the news, and this is the level of humor we get.
We are not a pack of wild animals.
This is at least the third movie we've reviewed that used that kind of joke. And one of those movies was Rango. And you know how Rango gets away with using a joke like that? The rest of the movie was good. Here it just feels like the closest thing to an actual joke they could think of. Anyway, the raccoon steps out of the shadows like all non-bad guys do, and tells them to double-cross Surly by taking all the nuts for themselves. The next morning, they set out on their plan, and oh boy, remember that grade A humor from the previous scene?
Guys, the nut store is over there.
I have been trained in mouth-to-mouth resuscitative measures. She's fine.
Leonidas!
This isn't funny!
Yes, I'm old, now get over it. Now it's time for the big double heist planning montage! So the humans and animals map out their parallel plans and...
You want to break into this joint? Survive the winter? You talk to me.
What kind of haul we talking, Pops?
We're talking almonds, pistachios, walnuts, Brazils.
Enough cashews to buy yourselves a racetrack.
Why don't we just use the door thing?
Too unpredictable. They lock it from the inside. Now listen closely.
This is my last heist. I ain't going back to that rat-filled slammer. You dig?
It's all we've been doing.
And it's delivered with all the excitement and pomp that you would expect from these one-note characters we've all come to know and love. This movie is killing us. It's not that this movie tries to accomplish anything inherently dumb, it's just that it's all so uninteresting. Maybe another action sequence with a contrived dynamite explosion will liven things up.
Hey, Surly! What'd you have for breakfast?
Nope. Then a thing with the dog happens and you know what? I don't care. Fast forward! So Surly has a rant about how Raccoon is a bigger thief than he is, and we have what could have been a cute and heartwarming little moment between him and Buddy if we cared one iota about either of them. Then Andy comes along and confesses how Raccoon plans to double-cross Surly, and Surly doesn't react to this at all. I know this is supposed to be a bit of an angsty scene, but all this really does is reinforce how much of a cardboard cutout he is. Pretty much by doing everything exactly how the same old tired tropes tell him he should do things. Be more interesting! Oh wait! Here's a twist! The secretly evil raccoon is showing his true colors by being evil! What a twist. The raccoon plans to keep the food away from the other animals in order to keep control over them. Kinda like how the mayor did things in Rango, only there it wasn't treated like some big impressive reveal. Rango pieced it together himself and slowly confronted him about it. Here, it's treated like a freaking dun-dun-dun! moment, but it's more like a dumb moment. Because it's really dumb, since we all knew it's dumb, and the movie sucks!
Good. Now, where were we?
You just revealed how hackneyed of a villain you are by trying to sabotage your own food-gathering mission in order to keep all the park animals under your thumb.
Ah, yes. Sabotage.
Ah yes, subtlety. This guy had it and you don't! So the mole goes off to try and drown the groundhogs when Grayson... Wait, what? He's back randomly?
Yeah, and wouldn't you know it, the comedically inept hero type had a taste of real danger and is now terrified of absolutely everything, showing him off to be the coward he really is. What? Freaking... twist! Surly tries to stop Mole, but simply turning the handle to the right would have made this scene way too easy, so let's have him bungle it up needlessly to make it more exciting.
He rescues the groundhogs in some other way, and I have never been so bored! Then Grayson happens, and I don't care.
Oh look, finally something I can comment on properly. This scene has Surly interrogate Mole by shining a bright light into his eyes, and the effect is signaled by a gentle, high-pitched sound. The thing is, when the sound stops, it's supposed to signal that the light isn't shining in Mole's eyes anymore.
Means more control. If the heist succeeds, Raccoon...
But as you can plainly see here, Surly's shadow isn't anywhere near Mole's eyes, so it should still be hurting him. That's either incompetent or lazy.
Either way, it is very amateurish and it shows.
Surly tries to tell the others about Raccoon's plans, but of course no one believes him. Who's surprised?
Then Surly goes out to prove how likable he is by insulting the only friend he's ever had, and... I don't care. You think I'm joking? This movie is so boring, so unengaging, that I don't even want to look at it anymore. This has broken me in a way that I had never considered before.
What, you think the movie gets any better? Sad part, Surly's caught, but then lets go by Nice Lady and Raccoon catches him.
A well-timed explosion from the human plot gets him loose again, and I don't think you get it. I do not care anymore. This movie has lost me, and it's not getting me back. It's just more of the same until the movie goes through all the same predictable motions to build up to the predictable climax. The raccoon is defeated, and Surly is accepted into the fold of the forest animals.
The only interesting thing to happen is this.
It happens during the big climactic action sequence that we all know is coming.
They're trying to get the nuts out of a moving vehicle when the raccoon shows up to stop them. When it looks like he's got the upper hand, Liam Neeson says this.
Shiny.
That needs to be a thing.
Shiny.
Best part of the movie. The end!
So yeah, like I said, I don't care anymore, so I'm skipping the wrap-up and going right to the final thoughts. I have never seen a more tedious example of going through the motions than in this movie. It's like the characters are pretending to have depth to them, when, in fact, they're all just as shallow as Grayson without even seeming to realize it. Other movies I've seen have proven that shallowness of characters can be overcome by having interesting stories or events taking place around them. But this fails even at that. The story's pacing is atrocious, with periodic exposition dumps followed by overly long action sequences over and over throughout the film. The worst part is that nothing interesting ever really happens. There's an old argument that nothing is new under the sun, meaning nothing can really be original. But that doesn't mean they can't be interesting and engaging, and this movie fails at both. I was at a complete loss as to how anyone thought this was a good idea to make.
But then we watched the special features on the DVD.
Turns out there were a couple of short animations about a squirrel's escapade to gather nuts, and they're both really good.
The first one is titled simply Surly Squirrel, and whoa, this texturing is really, really bad. It looks like some kind of crummy college project. I really don't like to harp on bad animation, even though I still do from time to time. It can always be worse, and this is about the point where I would normally call something bad. In spite of this, however, this simple story, the human parallels, and the over-the-top personalities of all the animal characters, coupled with well-timed physical humor, helps it to rise above these limitations and become really entertaining. The second one is called Nuts and Robbers. Here the animation and texturing is a lot better, but there's no dialogue at all. Again, the focus is on physical humor and simple character motivations. Check out this part here. This rat character has been laid back and easygoing the entire time, but when he's given the signal... Why the heck wasn't that in the movie? That's the problem. Short films and feature films have very different needs when it comes to pacing and character. Sadly, the kid movie apocalypse is still on its way, and in 2017 there are plans for the release of The Nut Job 2. Let's just hope that one goes straight to DVD, where it belongs! I am the kid movie ninja. Time for another Patreon shout out to my patrons Jordan Mathis and Steve Sharp. Be sure to check out Sharp Rain music in the description below, cause he's awesome.